All right, let's get into it. Picture this. It's June 22nd, almost midnight in Texas. Things are quiet, right?
Seems like it.
Then boom, Governor Abbott takes out his pen and vetoes Senate Bill 3. Just like that.
Yeah, and this wasn't some minor bill. This thing had serious muscle behind it. We're talking sheriffs, educators.
And Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't this like his top priority?
One of his absolute top priorities, he said. Yet Abbott shut it down with one signature.
So that's the big question we got to unpack today. Why? Why did he do that? What does this mean for that huge hemp industry in Texas? Billions of dollars we're talking.
Exactly. And maybe what bigger picture does this paint about where Texas stands on, well, cannabis overall and personal freedom?
Right. So our mission today is to really break down all these moving parts.
We're going to try and make sense of the different arguments, look at why Abbott made this move, and importantly, help you understand why this whole situation actually matters to everyday Texans. We'll dig into what the sources are telling us.
Okay, so let's set the scene again. That midnight veto, June 22nd. That timing feels dramatic.
It really does. It wasn't just a standard procedural thing. It felt like, a real last-minute power play. Definitely got people talking.
So, Senate Bill 3. What exactly was it supposed to do? It passed the Senate, passed the House.
Yeah, it sailed through pretty easily back in March and May. The core idea, ban all consumable hemp products that have THC.
So, like the Delta 8 gummies, Delta 9 stuff you see everywhere.
Precisely. All of it. If it came from hemp and had THC you could consume, this bill aimed to shut it down starting September 2025. Basically, lights out for that whole market.
Okay, so what was Governor Abbott's official reason then? What did he actually say?
Well, his statement was pretty direct. He said, and I'm quoting here, it conflicts with the federal farm bill and would lead to litigation that undermines enforcement. And he added, Texans need regulation, not regulatory chaos. That was the official line.
Okay, conflicts with the federal farm bill, regulatory chaos. Sounds official, but let's translate that. What's the real strategy behind those words? Is he just talking legal stuff or something more?
That's the interesting part, right? The way it's being framed suggests it wasn't really about whether people should be getting high or not. It was more about, facing the music on the legal and economic facts.
Facing the music how?
Well, by mentioning the federal farm bill, the 2018 law that made hemp legal nationwide, he's basically flagging a huge little risk for Texas.
Ah, okay.
If the feds say hemp is legal and Texas tries to ban it completely, especially stuff made from that legal hemp, you're just asking for lawsuits, lots of them.
Gotcha. So the regulatory chaos he mentioned is actually the chaos of getting sued left and right.
That seems to be exactly it. So his focus was maybe less on the products themselves and more on, hey, let's not bankrupt the state fighting lawsuits we might lose, and let's not destroy a huge industry overnight. It's pragmatic.
That definitely puts a different spin on it. And it sets up this, clash, doesn't it, between him and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
Oh, absolutely. A clash of titans, almost.
Because Patrick was all in on this bill. You said top 5 priority in, 17 years?
Yeah, 17 years. He wasn't shy about it. He wanted a ban, not just rules. He talked about protecting kids, classrooms, and public order, full stop. No room for these products, in his view.
But Abbott saw it differently.
Completely differently. Now, sources are clear. This doesn't mean Abbott is suddenly pro-weed or anything like that.
Right.
But his big concerns seem to be, one, avoiding the collapse of this massive $8 billion industry. That's huge money and jobs.
50,000 jobs, I think I read.
Around 50,000 jobs, yeah. And two, like we just discussed, avoiding getting sued for potentially going against that federal farm bill. He wanted to keep Texas out of that legal mess.
So if not a ban, what was Abbott's plan?
Regulation.
Yeah.
Robust regulation. He actually pointed to the alcohol industry as a model.
Okay, like how we handle beer and wine.
Exactly. Think about it. Strict age limits, probably 21 plus. Really thorough product testing so you know what's actually in it, how strong it is.
Makes sense.
Childproof packaging, obviously, that's critical. And giving cities and counties some say in where these shops can even open up. Local control.
And he mentioned funding for enforcement too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because rules without cops don't mean much.
Crucial point. Yeah, he stressed that you need dedicated money to actually make sure businesses follow the rules. Otherwise, it's just paper tigers.
And right after the veto, he didn't just walk away, he called for action.
Immediately. Called for a special session starting July 21st to sort this all out. Put it right back on the agenda. No time wasted.
Now, outside the Capitol building, this isn't just about politicians and laws, is it? There are real people involved.
Oh, absolutely. The sources bring up voices from, everyday folks, veterans using these products for PTSD, for example.
Right, or people managing chronic pain, maybe sleep issues.
Exactly. Small business owners, too, who've built their livelihoods around this. Their point is often, look, this isn't about getting stoned for us. This is about managing real health issues legally. It's seen as a wellness tool by many.
And did this perspective have much support? How did the industry and the public react to the veto?
Pretty positively, it seems. The Texas Hemp Business Council actually put out a statement thanking Abbott.
Okay.
And remember that ban proposal, Senate Bill 3? There was a significant pushback. Over 150,000 Texans signed a petition against it.
Wow, 150,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It's a serious number. Shows it wasn't just an industry concern, but something the public cared about, too.
And politically, this got interesting, right? It wasn't just one party against the ban.
That's one of the most striking things. You saw this rare cross-partisan opposition. Polls were showing somewhere between 44 and 50% of Republican voters were against the ban.
Almost half of Republicans.
Yeah. That tells you something. It suggests a really broad feeling across the political spectrum that maybe these products should be available, even if they need tighter rules.
Okay, let's talk dollars and cents for a minute, the economic side of this. What would Senate Bill 3 have actually cost Texas?
The numbers are pretty stark. Our sources lay it out clearly. First off, you're looking at potentially crushing over 8,000 retail businesses across the state.
8,000 shops gone.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Many of them small, local businesses. Then there are the jobs, we mentioned it before, but around 50,000 Texans employed in this sector, their jobs would likely vanish.
50,000 jobs.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's massive, and the overall economic hit, somewhere in the range of $4 to $8 billion wiped off the state's economic activity. Billion, with a B.
Whew. Okay. And Abbott directly linked passing the bill to lawsuits, didn't he?
He did. He basically said, if this bill passes, get ready for lawsuits, and the result is no one's safe and nothing's enforced. Kind of a worst-case scenario he painted.
So putting that all together, the huge economic cost, the job losses, the threat of endless lawsuits.
It really frames Abbott's veto as a strategic move, doesn't it? Less about the products themselves, maybe, and more about steering clear of massive economic disruption and legal quagmires. Choosing regulation, even if strict, over trying to completely prohibit something the federal government says is okay.
Which brings us right back to that special session, July 21st. All eyes on Texas, basically.
Oh, definitely. The pressure is on to figure this out.
So what are the key things they'll likely be hammering out in that session?
Well, based on what Abbott proposed and what the sources indicate, expect a real focus on specifics. That age limit, getting it firmly set at 21.
Okay.
Serious, rigorous testing requirements. What's in the product? Is it safe? How potent is it? Clear labeling is tied to that, so you, the consumer, know exactly what you're buying.
And the packaging.
Child-resistant packaging. That's going to be non-negotiable, you'd think, keeping it away from kids. Then there's a local control, letting cities and counties decide zoning where these businesses can operate, maybe even banning specific synthetic stuff, the really sketchy cannabinoids.
Right, the dangerous synthetics.
And critically, as we mentioned, figuring out the funding. How do you pay for the inspectors, the testing oversight, the enforcement? That needs a solid plan.
Now, just playing devil's advocate, could the legislature just say, nope, we're overriding your veto? Is that even possible?
Technically possible, but practically almost zero chance. You'd need a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate to override a governor's veto in Texas.
That's a high bar.
A very high bar. And given how firm Abbott has been on this and the divisions even within parties, getting that supermajority seems incredibly unlikely. The veto is probably going to stick.
So the special session really is the main event. What happens if they don't figure it out, if they can't agree on regulations?
Well, that's the worry, isn't it? If the session fails, you're likely back to square one. More lawsuits could pop up. That regulatory chaos Abbott warned about, it could just continue.
Confusion reigns.
Yeah. Businesses wouldn't know where they stand. Law enforcement might be unsure how to act. And the public is just left confused about what's legal, what's safe. It really puts pressure on them to find some common ground in July.
Okay, let's step back and make sure we're clear on the big picture for you listening. This whole fight, this veto, this upcoming session, it's not about legalizing marijuana in Texas. That's a whole separate conversation.
Absolutely crucial distinction. This is specifically about how Texas deals with hemp-derived products, things like Delta 8, Delta 9, which are technically already legal under that 2018 federal farm bill.
So it's about managing something that's, in a way, already here, legally, federally speaking. Regulate it or ban it.
That's the core tension. And Abbott's veto, it didn't end the argument. It just sort of paused it and shifted the battlefield to this special session. So what happens in July is still incredibly important for the businesses, for the people using these products for health reasons, and for just basic public safety and clarity.
And, this whole situation really highlights something bigger, doesn't it? How sometimes the law written down, the policy, doesn't quite match up with what's happening on the streets or how things are enforced.
Exactly. Policy and prosecution colliding, you could say. When laws are new or unclear, like they've been with hemp, it creates confusion. What's okay, what's not, who decides?
It creates real problems for real people.
Yeah.
And that's where knowing how to navigate the system becomes so important, right? When the rules aren't clear, you need to know your rights and how to protect yourself.
Precisely. And that legal uncertainty, that confusion, is why resources are popping up to help folks figure things out. Like this stuff Sean Lacey, folks call her Miss Officer from the Legal Gangsta Network talks about.
Right. That guide she has.
Yeah, the 10-step Erase Your Criminal Record Guide. It's aimed specifically at helping people, particularly there in Harris County, understand how they might be able to clear their name legally if they got tangled up in a case because the laws were murky.
Even if the charges got dismissed eventually, because sometimes that stuff still hangs over you.
Exactly. Even if it was dropped or dismissed. The idea is to give you a path, a way to try and get that record expunged or sealed up without necessarily needing thousands of dollars for a lawyer. It's about empowerment, giving you the tools when the system feels confusing.
That's powerful, and you can find that directly on their website.
That's right. Just visit legal-gangsta.com. Let me spell that out. legal-gangsta.com. Go there, especially if you're in Harris County, and get that guide to start figuring out your path to a clean slate.
So we've really walked through a lot today. Governor Abbott's big veto, the clash with Lieutenant Governor Patrick, the massive economic stakes, the federal versus state law puzzle.
It really shows that constant push and pull in Texas between wanting to regulate things tightly and dealing with the practical reality of existing industries and federal laws.
So, as we wrap up, here's something to chew on.
Yeah, think about this. How does this whole struggle, this intense political fight over regulating one plant, hemp, how does that mirror bigger arguments we're having all the time?
Arguments about what?
About, personal freedom. How much should the government control what you buy or use? About economic liberty. Should the state protect a huge industry or shut it down based on other concerns? And just the basic role of government in a world that's changing really fast.
That's deep. It's way bigger than just gummies, isn't it?
It really is. It touches on some fundamental questions about how we want to live and be governed.
Definitely something to keep thinking about. Keep exploring these issues, how state laws and federal laws interact, and how it all connects back to you. For now, thank you for joining us as we broke this down.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe, share this with folks who need to hear it, and keep digging into these important topics with us. And check out legal-gangsta.com, legal-gangsta.com.